The playable characters of Overwatch all have their unique abilities, and just like in nature, some are better than others. One time, you have a unique and creative form of achieving high dopamine. Some of them require the combination of your aiming skills, very good game sense, and acting quickly under pressure. But others make you invincible instantly in a single press of a button. Before I spoil anything else, in today's video we are going to find out what abilities in this game are designed in such a basic and simple way that the user can basically be playing tennis outside while still using those abilities to their fullest potential. In other words, the abilities that were designed with an idea that the user is a complete moron. Strap in and try not to get offended if I hurt your feelings by saying not so positive stuff about your favorite hero. And now, let's begin this video. It feels like 2017 once again, doesn't it? The infamous debate on how Pharah achieves the same thing as Soldier from TF2, but instead of learning gimmicky crouch jumping, precise aim, and good timing, she has all of that in a single press of a button. May I add, it always gives out the exact same results with the height and velocity. It is now a good moment to set some rules on what do we count as an ability for idiots. First of all the abilities that will be shown later in the video must be very easy to use. So easy in fact, that there is little to no input required from the player, so pressing one button and that's it. Do not even consider aiming or calculating projectile arcs, just a single press of a button, so in case of our jump jet, the only thing to consider before using this ability is are you inside the room or not. Other than that, anytime you press this ability, it will give you the thrust and you will be airborne. The only drawback I could also see is to not use this ability in two open spaces, so you don't get shot down instantly. Second condition is that the ability must be above average effective. So for example, McCree's roll only reloads your weapon and makes you travel 2 meters. Or for the Americans watching, it's about 9 bananas in length. But in the case of Pharah, the distance you travel is enormous. Not only that, you also gain that height that is not very usual for all the other heroes. We only have 3 heroes that can be classified as flying characters, those being Mercy, Echo and Pharah. You could squeeze in Diva or even Widow, but let's just keep it simple. The last and third condition is counterplay, so the less counterplay the ability has, the better for the sake of this video. In this case, it's hard and easy to counter the jump jetting Pharah, as she is usually without any cover in the sky, making her an easy target. That's why she opens our list, as the further we go, the more annoying the abilities will get. So with all 3 rules established, let's now take a look at one of the most popular, boring and easy to use abilities in this game, Mace Ice Block. This ability fits our conditions perfectly. First, you can't make this ability easier to use, as it's an instant activation upon pressing a single button, so any brain-dead ape could make use of this ability. Secondly, is the ability impactful? Well, granting absolute invulnerability to any hero is game-changing. You no longer need to rely on your teammates. You don't need your tank's shields to cover you from great danger. You don't need your supports anymore, as if you get low, the ability on top of that invulnerability grants you slow health regen, and if it wasn't enough, it also reloads your primary weapon. There is no punishment other than being forced to stay in a single spot. But why should it matter when if the enemies waste time on you, your teammates can damage them as they are basically wasting time. Simply activating this ability in the middle of a fight while you are balls deep in the enemy territory will always be beneficial. You will always negate some damage, and you will always regen a portion of the health you lost due to pokes. Lastly, let's not forget the synergy of walls that can put you in a safer position as soon as you leave the ice block. Continuing to the third rule, how do you counterplay the ice block? Now, here's the funny part. You don't. There isn't anything you can personally do to stop Mei from being in that ice cube. No damage can go through, so no debuffs can be granted, and all you can do is prepare a setup to punish her as soon as she leaves the frozen state. Speaking of setting up traps, Junkrat's Steel Trap is also a great fit on our idiotic abilities list, as once again all it takes is pressing a single button. You don't need to aim to make this ability effective. Heck, from my experience it's more effective if you throw it at completely random places, as if you don't know where the trap is, how can an enemy predict such a big brain play? And what powerful and game-changing mechanics does the trap provide? This might sound sarcastic, but I am not kidding when I say this ability can be game-changing. As if the trap was placed in the open territory in the middle of a fight, it might just serve you a free kill now and then, giving you a massive advantage. If you played a few games against Junkrat, you know how annoying it is to get stopped in a single place. Now imagine that, but among 9 other players that are all busy killing each other. The third rule is not as well fulfilled as the Mace ice block, but the fact that the trap sinks in a little to the floor from the enemy's perspective is an additional factor that makes this ability harder to counter. Now is also a good moment to add in this little statement that while all of the abilities I prepared for this list can be effective while being used without putting a single thought in, they can be more effective if used with a grain of brain usage. Pharah's jump jet can be utilized to gain horizontal momentum to get out of spawn quicker. The Mace ice block can be used mid-jump, so you aren't that immobile, and Junkrat's Steel Trap will be more effective if used on places more often bypassed by enemies, or in flank chokes to get notified if anyone is present there. But for the sake of the video, I want to emphasize the fact that even with all the things I just mentioned, I still think the abilities I'm talking about are brain dead. You wanna know what doesn't require aim even more than the Junkrat Steel Trap? The primary weapon of Bridget and Reinhardt. But we will focus on Rein in this segment, and I'll keep an eye out on you though, you filthy Mace woman. Reinhardt Rocket Hammer must be one of the stupidest hitboxes-wise weapon in this game. If you want to land the sweet 85 damage, just make sure you aren't turned around to your target. You know the drill by now. Firstly, I could argue that it's easier to use the hammer than the ice block, as the button input is located on your mouse under your index finger, the one that is the best at clicking buttons. Don't believe me? Try to hit that sub button with your toe. Yeah, I bet you look stupid not using that index finger. Getting back on track, the second condition, of course dealing damage will be effective, and the only thing stopping you is the lack of range, so you better get in there nice and close to make that sweet space for your team. You're a tank after all. And lastly, how do you counter the big ol' rocket hammer? Well, any mobility or movement enhancing ability can do, but if you don't possess anything like that, then spread your cheeks and beg Rein to make it quick. If you try to retaliate, then don't worry, Mr. Hammerman has an enormous shield that will fully block anything you throw at him. But once again, let's not try to get off topic and let's skip to the next ability for politicians. I mean, not so smart people. Oh my, we did it! We have a support hero on our list! I was struggling to choose between the Healing Burst and Lucio's Hump It Up, but the Hump It Up effect can be used on 2 different effects that are the speed and healing. But that's already too complicated, so let's stick to only healing. That is the Baptiste shift ability. After pressing just this one button, you almost instantly can gain up to 150 HP, just because Baptiste farted. But wait! There's more. Your fart is so powerful that it can also affect your teammates. So in total, if all stars align, you can heal up to 750 HP just with a single press of a button. Yeah, like that's going to happen. No game awareness is required to make the best use out of this ability too, as simply existing among your teammates and activating it will be good. Of course, you could always do the Roadhog approach and use this ability selfishly, but you need your aiming skills to back up this kind of utter lack of responsibility. How do you go about countering this ability? Well, you could do many things, like D.Va can use her Matrix, Genji can deflect it, Soldier can sprint on it. And if you didn't catch it yet, no, you can't counter this ability. You can only stop the effect of it by chucking in a bit of anti-heal from Ana's nade or Junker Queen's ult, but other than that, there is seriously nothing. The last ability will be a returning subject for my regular viewers, and if you know, you know. Congrats! The Symmetra turrets. These pesky rodents are notorious for being associated with having sexual relations with the player's mothers, and it's very well known to be effective no matter the situation. How easy are they to use? Just make sure you aren't aiming at clouds and you should be okay. How effective are they? Well, they do damage, slow down enemies they target, make an annoying buzzing sound, force the enemies to shoot something else than the enemy team, when you aren't looking they are getting ready to sleep with your partner, and many more. Let's say you somehow did send one boy to the skies. Don't worry, you have 2 more at your disposal. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Symmetra has 3 turrets to place wherever she wants. I don't understand why does Junkrat or Torb only have 1 turret. And lastly, the countering of those turrets is, as you might already tell, not as simple as it might look. Yes, the turrets have little health points, but the fact that you meet them most often in the same time you are encountering the enemy gamers, you can't split yourself, so one of you can shoot the turrets and the second one of you can focus on the enemies. So you need to sacrifice something. You most oftentimes need to lose something in exchange for killing a turret. So if you think about it, it's practically impossible to fully counter the turret, as even if it does no damage, you still wasted time on killing this object, and not shooting the real threat that is the Symmetra player or the rest of her teammates. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the ending of this super fun and friendly episode. I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings, and if I did, then you might want to find a different hero to main, my friend. Yes, I'm looking at you, Symmetra and May players. Go burn in the deepest depths of Earth. If you enjoyed, then make sure to like the video, and I highly encourage you to tell me down in the comments what do you think are, in your opinion, other brain dead abilities. But for now, that is it from me. Thanks for watching, have a lovely day. Bye bye.